Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Season 2. So, yes, we're into the Season 2 aspect, which is great. So, as I've said in my intro for a couple weeks ago, is that I said that I would be bringing on a gentleman by the name of Adam with Vipeg. And so I'm super excited because Adam has got some amazing stories and how he's kind of come to be this wonderful person that is you're one of the owners of Vipeg, are you not?
I am, sure am, proudly. Thank you, yeah.
Perfect. So what I want to talk to you about today, Adams, welcome to the show, is that I want to talk to you about,
having me.
No worries. I want to talk to you about Vipeg, how it came to be, what it's about, and a little bit about you and your story and how you kind of got to where you are. So let's go. Let's get into it.
Really appreciate that, Lisa. And you will find that I do love to tell the story. And because what I want other people to see is you never know what you got in your hands. You don't know what kind of opportunity you do have. And, maybe that sounds floofy, but I mean, listen to the story alone. And it can happen to anybody. When you have the football, somebody's fumbled it, grab it and run. That's all I can say. So, Vipec, what the heck is it? It's a Spanish building material producer. Basically, they got a team of chemists. They're producing other additives, formulas, chemicals, things that are used widely in the European market and, beyond. Now, this team has this Vipec branch of their company where they form and utilize environmentally friendly, water-based, non-toxic chemical compositions and form some amazing high-end products. And so this company was introduced, brought over to the North American market about 10 years ago. 2015-ish to 2014, maybe in some parts of the States. Let's call it a decade. And, areas started getting outfitted. Long story short, I'm a Sasky boy, and the product made its way into some distributors' hands there. Now, as we all know, businesses, I love a good story, and you don't start writing unless you have a good story. Mm-hmm. And it's not all peachy. You wish you could just pick up a story. There's no problem, and everybody's happy. Nobody reads those, right?
That's right.
So the same thing with the story of, Vipec. Beloved company, incredible, head office over in Spain. Amazing products. They are long-lasting, high-end. We can get into that a little bit more later. But the management, the way the company was going, how it was being handled, not perfect. So you get it into this kid's hands in about 2016. Love the product, fell in love with it. I needed something to love. Some people, they're missing something in life and they fill that void with something. And some people, it's a kid. For me, it was this company and this amazing product. And I had something, I had purpose, I had reason. And the cool thing for me was this ground floor in Canada. Okay. First distributors, very new product, cork-based products. And all of the room to grow, form something without bad habits. Had some great success my first year, along with, some adversity and animosity with the other outlets of the way the company, North American company, was going. Mm-hmm. Don't need to get into details, okay? But through leverage, investments, the proper, playing with the hand I'm dealt, fast forward from just a rep in Saskatchewan to now a partner with the distribution in all of North America.
Love that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, when I started repping it in Saskatchewan, you can kind of say, that's when I got onto the field. And there was another guy, there's another team, fumbled that football. I was not letting it not get into that end zone. Okay. Yeah. I grab it and I'm scoring points. And you could have gone two ways. Mm-hmm. A fella in my position could have just let Vipec with its amazing product that should have been out there. Okay. Due to mismanagement, it could have continued on the spiral. No, we step in, we take over, we resuit it, get some new partners. And, we've had 9 years of success because of it. So you can either lay down when you're getting kicked or you can get back up and bite whoever's kicking you.
I love that. I agree with you because, it's funny. It's, I get into these conversations with a lot of owners because, us owners, we kind of need to stick together,
It's true.
And so because it's funny because, I know this will resonate with you because it's something I deal with all the time. So when I'm having a conversation with someone, even like a friend, a colleague, like a friend that's a colleague of mine, but not at the same level, they're an employee. So they're
Yep.
making their check every 2 weeks. We're hustling. We have to, the old saying, how hungry are you? As an entrepreneur, that means something. We
It is a
understand.
different life. It is a different feeling.
It's a different beast. So when you're talking to people and they're like, they don't understand where you're at, because your brain goes in a very different direction when people are talking money or when they're talking about life and how things are going. And it's
Or
like,
bills. The word bills means a lot different.
it does. We have a lot more things to consider. But then it's like, like I go out to all these different places. I'll go and frequent different places, whether they're pubs or bars or dance bars, but I'm always in business mode. I'm never sloppy. I'm never doing anything I shouldn't be. Like those days are done. They're long gone. Like I'm in my 40s, for Christ's sake. We're not going to be out doing stuff at
professionalism.
Right. You're always carrying an element of professionalism because you don't know who's you're going to run into, and you don't know who's going to see you. And everyone's got a goddamn camera phone. So
You're
I'm
almost always networking.
Right? Exactly. You're always networking. And people don't understand that. And they're just like, well, why don't you ever have like why don't you ever get drunk at the bar? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't get drunk anywhere outside of my home.
It doesn't serve any of your purposes.
It doesn't serve anybody. Like if I want to have a few drinks and feel a little tipsy, it's in my backyard. Like, you know what I mean?
I totally agree. Safety, and for a reason.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep in mind that any time this phone could go off and all of a sudden that lead you've been trying to land for 3 months, now it's the time. And if you can't talk, you have to be in a good frame of mind. I love that. And nobody talks about those details.
Right. And that's something that I can't get through to anybody else, but people like us who are grinding all the time. That's exactly how it is. It's like, I think to myself, like when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, if I'm not totally dressed the way I want to be dressed, that's okay. Because you know what? I can carry on a conversation with them. I'm not like I'm always in that network mood. It's like my hair might be in a bun and I might be in jogging pants, but I can carry on that conversation. Like you said, that lead could make that call. And I don't want to be in like a state of mind where I'm like, oh, it's Sunday, I don't have to do anything. It's like every single day is something can come up that day and you don't know it. Like I've gotten emails on a Saturday and I'm like, what's happening?
You can either reply or you can wait till Monday. But we all know what the driven entrepreneur is really going to do, because they just can't not. And I think that's also the difference between an entrepreneur and then our peers that aren't.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And an entrepreneur who is going to be successful and an entrepreneur who is not.
It's true.
There are entrepreneurs who will not be successful just because, it's Sunday, this is family time. To be honest, your lead may expect you to talk on a Sunday, and that might be the actual detail that tells them to do business with you.
Yep.
Right? It might be a red flag that you're not giving them attention on a Sunday. And I'm sorry, but when you're an entrepreneur, you do have to bend. You have to do what you got to do to get your business ahead, man.
Well, and that's the thing. So someone like me who's a consultant, like you sell an actual product, your product, like your service is tangible. Mine is not as tangible, right? Everything is in documents and details and making sure everyone's wonderful. So it's harder to prove what I'm doing other than the fact that it's running smoothly.
And you have to give that attention. That's all you can give your clients.
Exactly. So it's funny when people say to me, well, Lisa, how come your price is X? I'm like, you have full access to an expert anytime.
Which is full.
If you have a problem if you have a problem on a Sunday at 8 a.m. and you text me, you're getting a response. It's not always Sunday at family time. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, this is what's happening. Like, this is what you get. This is what you pay for. It's not I take time off. Now, I will tell you that since I've had health concerns, there's days where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I don't have anything planned in my schedule book. That automatically becomes an out of office.
That is an art and a skill that an entrepreneur needs. Yeah. There's something called burnout. And I think that it is important to have strategically blocked time where you actually are doing whatever makes you happy. As when you were a kid or a teenager, what was your favorite thing? Then go and do that. If it's turning off everything and sitting down watching Saturday morning cartoons and playing a video game, then damn well do it. That's
pretty much what it was. Or it was like hanging out with friends or just catching up with people. Or but for me, like now, I would have to say now, like in my 40s, it's literally just doing nothing, shutting everything off, leaving my phone upstairs and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Watching Netflix.
I think about it and I'm like, should I book a night out in Banff with me and my girl to get away for the weekend, or should I, make dinner reservations? I make dinner reservations because of business and dates 3 other times a week. I
Yeah.
don't need to do anything to unwind. I
Yeah.
simply, exactly. And I think, yes, there's a balance. I will answer, I will reply on a Sunday,
Yep.
but I also set and block that time because I'm also aware of burnout. And
Exactly. And
yes,
that is the fine balance, right? It's like I might be out of office, but if a client texts me, they'll get a response
at least
that
a
day.
response.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll get a
I don't
response.
give you an hour on a Sunday during dinner. I'm not going to give you an hour.
Yeah.
Honestly, unless you tell me you're going to be sending me a fat check tomorrow and it depends on this hour, I will solve the riddle, send a reply, book a call the next day, but you're not going to get crickets.
It's
Okay.
true. Like we are consistently on our toes as entrepreneurs. You are constantly problem solving and you
You
are
are.
constantly prioritizing. Those are the two tasks that are guaranteed every day, every minute.
It's true.
What's the priority and what problem do I need to solve right now?
I literally woke up the other day thinking about, and it was actually a positive thing
Mm-hmm.
because if I don't have a fire to fight, I don't have a business to run. I
Mm-hmm.
woke up thinking, okay, what fires to fight? And it doesn't have to be, it's not emergency fires. What tasks do I have to finish today, basically, in my
Yep.
mind? And sometimes they are a little bit escalated. And sometimes you have to talk a guy, off the ledge and smooth things over. That's
Yep.
part of life. And you got to
Yep.
have that skill. But at the end of the day, you need to block that time strategically and then still give that attention to who needs it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that underlying anxiety when
Mm-hmm.
you're not answering somebody back,
Yeah.
you're unfortunately, I'm not saying it's good, but you're unfortunately probably not going to be the best at owning and running your own business. There
Yeah.
needs to be that God fearing that if I don't answer this person, I'm not going to get this deal. You
Yeah.
need that urgency to a point where it's not giving you a heart murmur.
That's right. And and I think, and the one thing that I find that makes the difference now, because there's so much AI, there's so much, like people pushing everything off, the passing the buck. But I feel like when as owners, when you show up or when you respond, when you give that time, that customer service makes the difference.
It does. Clients know
And
when you're giving them attention or not, Lisa.
yeah,
And how many times a day could we pass the buck, as you say? I
yeah,
have a chief administrative officer who's also my partner in life in this
mhm,
room next to me in her own home office.
yeah,
There's a number of tasks, daily. There's certain things she has to do, areas of ownership. But then there's things that just because of habit or I don't want to do them, oh, let's pass it off. But then there's things, no, Adam, you should be doing that. You
yeah,
should send that response. You
yeah,
should make that phone call. And maybe you should actually be doing this research and development. Face it, we're an owner. We are where we are because of some sort of a skill. Okay.
mhm.
And remember that usually the best person at it is probably the visionary of the company.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
you also have to take that. You need the integrator and you need your employees and you need area of ownership. But
yeah,
don't forget that as the owner, as the star, as the head salesman, you should still get involved in some of those calls, at least if not to reinitiate some of those original feelings you had.
yeah. Or even like, pump up your staff, right?
Yes,
I know
motivate.
you're in great hands. I handpicked this guy or girl and they're great and they've got an extensive amount of knowledge and whatever. If you need to get a hold of me, that's no problem. But I'm telling you, you're in great hands with this person. I don't look at it as passing you off. I look at it as you getting what you deserve, which is the attention this person's going to give
And
you.
actually more attention, because if you call me when I'm with several, in several meetings and blah, 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 I may not get back to you when you want
Yeah.
me to, but if you get a hold of my office staff who's devoted to this, you're going to get that attention you deserve. However, just that discussion alone is
Mhm.
night and day between that client no longer getting you to answer your calls and not. The
Yeah.
explanation,
Mhm.
them understanding that you may have a different teammate or different employee picking up your call.
Yeah.
Some people may not care.
Yeah.
However, people are sentimental. So I
Yes.
believe newsletters, client culture, sending out, if you are changing your point of contact in a company, Send a newsletter to everybody in your CRM, letting them know.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden they don't feel, well, Adam used to take my calls, and every time I had a question, I was talking to Adam. Well, I've got people in my team that can answer those questions validly better than myself and with more attention now. However, there are people who just want to talk to Papa Adam. Okay, that's we joke around about it. But if they simply just understand that they're going to get better info, maybe quicker info from my team who I'm motivating and I'm training, that's the difference between them accepting, a discussion with that other person and not. Because believe you me, human beings, no matter how manly and tough they are, they still get sentimental and they will still take things personal. It's a possibility.
100%. And, I'm going to say it because, it's one of those things that not everybody pays attention to, but the generational gaps do play a big part. If you are baby boomer, Gen X, and older millennial, you have a sense of trust and loyalty, and you want to talk to that same person. You don't want to go through 5 people at the bank.
True.
Especially when you're dealing with money and you're dealing with large amounts, you want to deal with the person you started with because you put your trust in them and they took the time to explain things to you. So when you have to pass it off to a teammate because you've done the initial the initial point of contact and explained it and whatnot, and this is the person that's going to get them to the finish line, and you explain, I'm the person that comes in and helps get you comfortable with what your purchase is because I want to make sure you're making the right purchase so you don't have buyer's remorse, and we go over all of those things.
But then after that,
now this person is going to get you to that finish line. They know just as much as me. But that's the other thing I always tell people, bring that person with you. So they see them. So they feel like they're part of that team aspect so that when the person sees, it's like, oh yeah, you were at the meeting. I remember you. And then there's not, there's an easier disconnect for you to walk kind of like exit stage left. And they're like, oh, it's okay. We got, we got
I like
Brian
that. And the actual gentle, but direct engagement and introduction.
Right. It's a warm introduction.
Yeah. I think it goes a long way. And it's an art. Sales is an art, man. It's not about what you're selling. It's how you're selling it.
I agree. I think that a lot of people get mixed up with sales and marketing. I'm like, it's 2 different things. So I'm like, and I said, so I always tell people like sales and marketing are 2 different things. I'm really good at sales. I'm not really good at marketing. So I have a team for marketing. Yes. Right. I don't have a team for sales because I close my sales because it's not hard for me to.
If you didn't have to spend all the time closing your sales, you'd probably be very good as the head of the marketer for your company, but we just can't do it. It was the first skill. The first skill I learned and loved was taking this Vipeg and starting to make social media posts and blogs and stuff for the website. And it is fundamentally, I was amazing at it, getting engagement that even our marketing teams, blah, blah, blah. But at a certain point, you just can't. As the entrepreneur, the head, the guy that's, traveling sales, the visionary of the company, no matter how much you like to take a picture and write you just don't have the time. You can't. And you do need that, whether it's internal or external marketing team that actually, because like you say, I was selling on social media, right? Yeah. Now it has to intertwine. Well, somebody's out there having a face-to-face selling.
Yeah.
The person they're selling to is listening here, but after the meeting, they're going to look at the marketing. And the message needs to be consistent and it needs to appeal to what they just learned. Yeah. So that's where the marketing team comes in handy to join those 2.
I agree. So here's the thing. So because my podcast is Trades Edition and it is Devil's Advocate, so I'm gonna play a little Devil's Advocate with you a little bit. I'm gonna give you a hard time. Now you talk that you really support the Vipeg product, and it is a cork product, and it is an exterior product. And I went and looked into it, and so this was my thing, and I've been bugging your people to send me stuff over because when you and I originally first met with the Calgary Renovation and Contractors Association with Elaine, and Elaine is amazing. She's quite the firecracker. I just love her.
Yeah.
And so you guys are members with them, correct?
Surely are, yeah.
And you've invested a lot of time doing demonstrations. You love doing demos and having people come out to your shop and show them how the product works and that it is a good and sturdy and durable product. Now, we had that massive hailstorm, and I was like, is there anything in Alberta that you guys have done that had this hailstorm hit it? And I believe what came back was no. That
So
nothing.
directly in just the areas that we have demos in Calgary, they weren't the areas that got pounded. However, we've been like my first area was Saskatchewan, and in southeast Saskatchewan, it's a place called Estevan and Carlisle. If you jump on the internet, they are pounded by hail and wind often. Okay, now crazy wind compared to that plays a huge effect on we're doing roofs, we're spraying our product over shingles and they're not lifting, things like that. But we do specifically have projects in that Estevan area and other parts of Saskatchewan, and I have testimony for 9 years now, not one issue with any house that's got hail on it. Now, one house specifically, I remember getting texts from the homeowner during the first hailstorm saying, Adam, here we are. We're getting a great test. Passed, A++, zero damage. Now, we actually, it's impact resistant. Cork, it is fundamentally a cork-based product with a proprietary resin that mimics those properties of cork. So yes, I told you when we first started talking, Lisa, you can hit our product with a hammer. I'll have you to my office. I'll throw rocks against it. I get it. That's not hail. And we have some insane hail. I mean, just to touch on what Lisa's saying here, $4 billion plus worth of hail damage in this city alone in the last, 4 years because of the two big storms? Insanity. And because of that, insurance companies are going to stop covering, I won't say exactly what it is, but a certain exterior product that is extremely popular around here. There are certain insurance companies that will no longer cover it. Now, that's going to give us a little bit of a leeway. We are forwarding our impact rating. We are getting more certification through Intertech for that meaning, or for that agenda.
Okay.
And I can't wait. Unfortunately, yes, it sucks to have the hail and people getting their, damaged property. But inevitably in Calgary, as our demos are growing, substantially, we will have houses here that are hit with hail, and I will be out there with my helmet on taking video of it. Honestly, it is exciting. I'm talking billions of dollars of damage in 20 minutes.
Oh, I know.
Because of the products that are being used. So
let me ask you a question, just because I'll say it. Is the dirty word vinyl?
Oh man, it's a dirty word. But let's put a flame accelerator, brittle. If anything ever did melt it or started on fire, breathing it in is the most horrendous thing you could think about.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up because.
Well, no, I got to ask you. So then, someone like me, so my house does have vinyl. I bought it with vinyl on it. I've been looking at changing it over to hardy board.
Great.
But then at the same time, I'm like, because Vipeg can go onto a vinyl, does it not?
Vipeg, unfortunately, we do retrofit everything but vinyl. I mean, which kind, we wish, because the very good thing about our product is we eliminate a lot of time and cost by being able to spray what you have on your wall. Yeah. However, not vinyl, which is the one thing we really want to retrofit. However, we do have an easy system, multiple systems based on your budget to remove the vinyl, reinstall either an EFIS or like a traditional stucco system, and then we finish it with our cork. And you will get that.
That sounds expensive, though.
Well, do you have any idea what your hardy board is priced at a square foot?
I do. I'm a construction consultant. I know exactly.
Of course you do. So it's honestly
I'm talking about it for people that are looking to do something like that. They're like, holy shit, vinyl isn't the way anymore, and I got to do something else. I know how much stucco is. I know how much hardy is. And then you go and put in like a stucco system and then put on a Vipeg. So if we're doing the comparison and contrast of it, is it more than hardy board? Is it more than
actually get it to be right on par with acrylic stucco?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an acrylic stucco plus the Vipeg, and then would be the same as if I was to install hardy.
You got it. And the thing about it, we just need to compare apples to apples. This is going to fade slower, perform much better, and last longer than any acrylic system. Hardy, no problem. You know, it's not vinyl and it's not acrylic. It's not cracking. It's not flaking. It's also not a fuel accelerant. Now, just so people are aware, though, and I have end users telling me now in home
Yeah.
shows, Hardy board is better than some. However, if you look at the fine print, there's constant maintenance to actually maintain your warranty. You get a warranty on Hardy board, but there's painting involved, there's caulking involved, and there's upkeep. With cork, 15-year warranty. You don't have to caulk or paint it. Okay? Like there's a lot of differences when you're looking at the aftercare and the longevity of these products. And the beautiful thing is we will be on par, I'm sure, with the removal of that and the installation of Hardy board. We'll be able to match that, compete with that price-wise.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, here's the thing. So I'm out in Airdrie, and Airdrie has it's so funny. So if you live in Airdrie, you know what the wind is like out here. It is insane. Like people in Calgary don't understand how bad the wind is in Airdrie. Like it's like 3 times.
I would agree with you, and I wouldn't know, but you're talking to a Sasky boy here, and it's wind is just the.
Well, Calgary's in a valley, right? We're not in the valley. Calgary's in the valley. Even though we're 20 minutes outside of Calgary, we're exposed. We're not in this little tiny valley, right? So it's like, and don't get me wrong, Calgary still gets, I mean, they still get the precipitation, but it's almost never do we have a tornado. We're open to a tornado. They're not.
It's totally true. Calgary it's got its own, it's its own little world, and I can see that Airdrie is almost, Airdrie reminds me of like an Estevan. That place I was telling you about in Sask, it's probably got 60-kilometer-an-hour winds right now.
It's insane. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm like, my mom's so cute. When I moved to Airdrie, she was like, "Oh, I'm going to buy you these little wind catchers." I'm like, "The hell you are. Those things will go flying off and that'll be the end of it. It'll be like, it'll end up in someone's window and I'll have to pay for it." Like,
it'll be damaging everything around you.
And even so I have a trampoline for the kids outside. So funny because every year when the wind picks up, someone's trampoline is somewhere else. So they're
like a big kite.
It's insane. So I remember when my mom got the kids a trampoline and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. So I bought weighted system for the trampoline. So the trampoline is not 200 pounds. The trampoline is 1,000 pounds because of a weighted system.
No messing around.
I had to. I don't want my trampoline going flying into my neighbor's yard. So, or down the road.
Or even your own, windows, your own backyard. Yeah. Right? It is an actual liability when it's windy.
100%. And I have a basketball net that's weighed down by sand. Like everything has got hundreds to thousands of pounds weighing it down because I don't need it going flying somewhere. And I'm like, that's literally what happens to me is the wind picks up and I'm like looking out the window. Is the trampoline still there? Is the trampoline still there? It's insane.
You can hear it, so it doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? It's there, it's apparent.
Yeah. Oh, well, and it feels like and if you ask anybody from Airdrie, they'll tell you, they're like, especially if they live in a 2-story, you think your roof's going to come off. Like you're just waiting.
Well, and that's what I was wondering is siding getting blown off all the time, siding and trim and even shingles?
Probably.
I'm sure that it is.
Probably.
And that's so.
I haven't experienced that. Thank God. Not I don't want to.
I mean, you probably have a very, integral house, a lot of structural integrity. That's another thing that they started doing, specifically in that area in Estevan, is spraying roofs and shingles. Okay, that's not to fix the roof, but when you spray it with our product, it's preserving those shingles. It's still allowing everything to breathe properly, impact resistant. But it's actually stopping those shingles from ever lifting and peeling them. You'll get another 20 years out of them.
Okay, but we still need a ventilation aspect, even though there's ventilation aspects on the roof itself, but don't the shingles themselves, because of the way they're placed
our cork is breathable.
Okay.
So we on a wall, that's a beautiful thing and something good to talk about. Yeah. Anybody that hears somebody talking about a coating on an exterior wall, whether it's paint, acrylic, anything like that, one of the first things an architect, engineer, somebody in construction is going to think about is it breathable? You need that final, you need it to breathe properly. So we actually are semi-permeable. We got a semi-permeability rating. So extremely breathable for how it keeps water out, but lets vapors escape. So
Okay.
in your wall, it's actually eliminating rot and R value compromise. Your R value compromising substantially. Your
Hmm.
R value is dropped by conduction, convection, and radiation. But the first thing that will drop your R value from R40 to R nothing is moisture, specifically in foam and wool, okay?
Hmm.
It's moisture. You will get moisture inside every wall because
Yep.
of condensation. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm not saying your wall is leaky. Condensation happens everywhere.
Yep.
Hot meets cold, cold meets hot. Well,
You bet.
guess what? We have a very great K value, which shows thermal conductivity rating. Hot meets cold a lot slower, a lot less energy is traveling through your wall.
Okay.
Instantly, less condensation. Okay, that is proven. Now, compare and team that up with the fact that we are breathable just like cork in a wine bottle.
Okay.
So, and guess what, Lisa? This is incredible. There's something called suberin in all plant life. It's the
Okay.
substance, it's a waxy fatty acid that helps the trees, plants, plant life, vegetation
Yep.
regulate its temperature. Suberin is vastly produced naturally in a cork tree. So it's the fatty acid responsible for allowing cork to be rot resistant. I have
Hmm.
zero mold growth in my lab tests. Okay.
That's
Cork
good.
is rot resistant because of that fatty acid. This fatty acid is also
Mhm.
allowing the cork insulation value,
Yep.
which off of the tree, cork has an R value of 4 per inch. It's
Okay.
quite insane naturally. It actually holds that R value when wet. It's one of the only substances on earth that does so. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So we're eliminating condensation, we're allowing the vapors to escape, and we're holding those robust properties during that entire process.
Hmm. You know that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, maybe it is.
I've heard that. Hey, Adam, you're selling a snake oil here. What is the kryptonite? And what do I say? It's you gotta pay for it. It is more expensive than paint,
Yeah.
and it is not cheap. If I were to say and it's not a downfall. Why?
Mhm.
Because if you have stucco, hardy board, cedar siding, or brick,
Mhm.
something that we can spray, I can spray that for half as much as ripping that off and putting on hardy board.
Okay. I
So
got you. So what you're saying is you get what you pay for.
100%. Now, and also, you get what you pay for as far as the finish, the looks, the longevity, less fade, more performance. But also, if you are putting a paint or an improper coating on your brick or cedar or hardy, you're no longer preserving it. You are actually aiding in quicker deterioration, right? You put the wrong paint on brick, all of a sudden that brick masonry, which is an
Yeah.
extremely breathable, very breathable wall,
Hmm.
masonry, all concrete, all cement, it's breathing.
Yeah.
When you paint it, you actually gasp it off. You're painting every 5 or 7 years. So
Yeah.
I may be $2 or $3 more a square foot than paint, but the commercial properties that are budgeting every 5 or 7 years for paint, well,
Yep.
they can budget every 15 or 20 years for cork.
Hmm. Well, it makes
So
sense. But I mean, like I mean, so what your product basically deters um, moisture from getting in, so therefore eliminating the prospects for future rot and future mold
big
growth.
time.
Yeah.
Big time. It eliminates water from getting in. It also, any condensation that does find its way out is pushed out. Just like cork in a wine bottle,
Yeah.
it's promoting,
Yeah.
okay, the exhaust of those vapors. And that's how cork is working on your wall. We have the ratings,
So
the lab tests.
okay, so what happens? I like to play in hypothetical land.
Yes.
So what happens? You guys come out, you guys do the job, because I know you and I've talked about it, and you have a team that is trained on how to install
We
this.
have
So
a
it's not
number of certified
yeah.
installers in each area.
Yeah. And so I remember you telling me about that. It's not just something anybody can do. You have to be certified.
You got it. You got it.
So which is great. That's good news, because a lot of
It's
people will just
regulated.
well, a lot of people will just pick it up and be like, let's go.
That
And
is
they
the
don't
one
install
thing
it.
we've not done in 9 years, Lisa. No matter how much people have tried to negotiate, plead, beg, tell me how much they know about the industry, We do not sell our products to people that have not taken our training. We regulate them, and they're all certified installers, because for two reasons: the performance, the installation, the quality, but also the longevity. I want you as a homeowner that's choosing this to understand that if Joe Blow, the contractor, goes out of business in 4 years, that's not what matters. You can still get a hold of Vipeg. Your 15-year warranty is held by Vipeg. We always have a point of contact and confidence.
I love that. So we play in hypothetical land, and this is one of the reasons why you don't do this. So I'm just going to put it out here, is that what happens when someone gets the installation done and 7 years down the road, somebody's up doing something and they pull part of it, they pull part of the siding off and they see mold or they see rot. How does Vipeg come in and handle that? Because
I love that. So there are initial tests to do to determine, basically we want to make sure if it's just surface, okay. Or any further back. So we will determine that. If it's surface, there are abatement products, coatings, and cleansers that we can properly remove all that. We want that mold out of there. We will not Band-Aid anything, okay? Say we're doing a cedar house with some cedar siding. There's some rot found. Take off that siding, maybe something behind it, but it's surface. Clean it, and then we will scab in a new piece of wood siding that has the same profile. We don't even need to find the exact brand or the exact same cedar. As long as it looks the same, when we finish it, it's going to fit in beautifully. So we will abate, we will remediate, we will remove anything that is rotten or, just too far gone to spray. And until, if we can't, obviously if it's surface, you can clean it. I just had an insurance claim in my house because my fridge was leaking. There was some black mold on a couple pieces, and it was clean. It was perfectly good to go after. But we determined before we do that whether or not maybe some studs, maybe it needs to be torn off further. Get rid of the insulation all the way to the studs. And there might be some portions that need to be completely rebuilt and get some carpentry in there. We do not Band-Aid. We do not promote leaving anything in there that can fester. But once it's remediated, once it's, properly, fixed, repaired, we can finish it and bring it all together beautifully.
Okay, so does that fall under a Vipeg warranty?
If it was already sprayed, and then afterward, honestly, like the warranty covers delamination, chips, flakes, like coming off of the wall. If there's mold behind the cork somehow, and this isn't about getting out of warranty, we obviously would have to do some investigating. And, in some cases like that, like the cork, that's going to be a wall system issue, because the cork is substantially going to eliminate any mold growth on it, behind it. And if there's mold anywhere back there, that means, the wall system, there's some sort of an issue, or maybe a leak in the flashing, or something to do with the wall or window frame.
So I'm gonna tell you what I hear, okay? So what I'm hearing from you is that the product has spoken for itself so well that it would be almost kind of a new surprise if something like that happened. So the investigation would most likely deem that either there was an installation error, or there was a delamination, or this was already an event that had already occurred.
That's exactly where I was going with that. And it's not about, okay, if it's an installation error, we still don't just say, hey, installer, you screwed up, go fix this, you're completely liable. No, we work with them. We say, let's investigate this. This is where we believe the failure occurred. You're going to have to, do some ripping and tearing. Determine this. If it's an installation error, I will still provide the product. Okay. And that's how we work with our installers. I don't want people to be out $5,000. If they go, they're willing to spend the time and the energy to determine what's going on. Get in there, do some repairs, and finish it again with thermal cork shield. Well, it's only going to take a pail. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to take much product. So we work with our installers, although it might not be our liability. However, I've never ran into that. That's not saying it couldn't. It would be everything can happen, Lisa, and that's what keeps us good business owners. You got to be ready for it. I'm telling you, that sort of detail would be determined, fixed before we spray it, or it's something blind. Like I say, a
Yeah.
window was installed 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Something's failed with the flashing, and moisture's getting where it shouldn't be. That's not a warranty for anybody. The window, the flashing, the wall, the cork.
Mhm.
But would we still work with that client to come to an extremely fair arrangement to make sure that they're fixed up? Yes. And that's, I think, where Vipec is a little
Okay.
different.
That's fair. So because of my position. So I
Yes.
stand on the side of the owners that are the stakeholders and taking people like you and saying, okay, we want Vipeg to do our building or we want Vipeg to do our house. And I'm the person that brings you to them and says, this is who you're going to deal with. This is the product. This is how it goes, blah, blah, blah. I get all the information and everyone meets each other. So what I do is I'm there to protect them. So then I say, hey, Adam, this house is, 25 years old. It's had vinyl on it forever. We're going to remove the vinyl. Do we want to look at the window casings? Do we want to look at the batten around the windows just to ensure that this is going to not be a problem in future?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're installing such a waterproof product, if there's any other errors on the structure itself right now for building envelope, why wouldn't we just check it all now? And then, so that's kind of where I say to you, is it not something that maybe Vipeg would take into consideration? Because it always turns into you promised this and you promised that. Meanwhile, this was something that was going on behind the scenes that you guys didn't see. And then it turns into you guys being the bad guy and getting one bad review, but it wasn't your product that did it because.
So that's why we actually 100%. And you know what? That's why it's important to have that clear. We have a quite extensive warranty document. Like it is several pages and it really stipulates, as long as people are reading it,
How many people read it? How many?
It's not even fine wording, but it is realistic stuff, Lisa. Like, this is what we cover. And, in 7 years, your window frame fails and this and that. Like, unfortunately, there's stipulations and there is guidelines. And then there's also, a 15-year exterior warranty on a coating is absolutely industry leading, especially when we're not telling you that every 5 years you have to have one of our installers come and recaulk and finish and all that stuff. But that is something that could be easily misconstrued. Oh, it's rot resistant, zero mold growth. That's our product specifically. Now, am I trying to get around the fact that, no, because who knows what's going to happen down the line. But before we spray, there is inspections, windows, doors, frame. You know what I'm exactly for that.
Okay, so you do that. You do inspect everything.
Because if that substrate does fail, if moisture's getting behind it, my product's only as good as what's going on behind it.
Right. And so that's why I say because unless they have somebody like me that's standing there going, okay, guys, this is how this is going to work. Vipeg's coming in. This is what they're doing. You guys haven't done your doors and windows in 25 years. They are not responsible if those fail and create moisture or rot. So are we doing windows first and then siding?
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually very common for our installers too. And usually the homeowner brings it up before anything. Oh, hey, I'm doing my exterior. I'm going to do windows. Should I do them before? Should I do them after? What should the timeline be? Yeah. Yeah, we like to have them done before and then everything's tickety-boo. But just to touch on, say plans changed. They weren't going to do the windows. They did the cork. Well, now, for some reason, they want to do the windows. It's actually not that big of a deal. This isn't stucco. You can actually cut and dissect and work with this cork product nicely. And then guess what? The maintenance, the ongoing repairs, say physical damage occurred. You run into it with your lawnmower. That's not warranty either. But do you want to know something? Patching, blending, and repairing our cork is 100% easier than any stucco, any hardy board. Why? We control the color. So anytime you buy a color, I'll be supplying that color for the next 50 years. It's not an outside third-party dye. Okay? We create our own dyes. So you get light gray today, I'll be able to supply that same product in 15 years. We're also fading 10 times slower than traditional paints and stuccos. The best stucco on earth is fading 10 times a year. And they're promoting that as almost, you don't even see that with the human eye. Well, we're 1% a year.
Yeah.
So what a stucco house is fading in 1 year, we're taking 10 years plus to fade that much. Paints are 6 to 12% fade. So say you do want to replace it, you do the cork in 5 years, you're like, oh, I got some money, and you know what? I want different windows. I want to upgrade. It's really not that detrimental, because you can,
Mhm.
even if the windows aren't the same size, you cut this stuff and we can spray it right back up to that window very easily. It's going to match. It's going to blend. It's going to be the same
Mhm.
texture.
But that's usually where this is why I always want to I go after the contractors for this, is because I want you guys to be clear, because you guys are the easiest scapegoat for any owner to be like, you didn't say this and you didn't say that and you promised this and you promised that, because they're not getting all the information, either A, from the contractor, or from the supplier. But a lot of times the supplier's not their job to give them all of the ins and outs of how their house works. That's why people like
And
me
we also
exist.
have
Like,
to kind of be
we do upgrade.
careful. If we
Well,
start
yeah.
consulting, then the supplier, all of a sudden, it's our fault that a house failed that I haven't even seen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you is that you guys have these slogans that are like, this is what is, because you believe in the product, and because it's been tried and true on multiple
Totally.
different areas within Canada, and a lot of, from what I understand, North America and in Spain and whatnot, right? So it's
Yep.
international, and it's a tried and true product in multiple climates. But so you can have these slogans and know that you can stand behind them because
A
they're
hundred
legitimate,
percent.
and there's truth to them. But my
Lisa,
point
we
is
had a
that
10-year
people,
warranty to start. And because
yeah,
of performance, longevity over in Europe and other areas, Spain themselves, head office, upped that to 15.
yeah. And I think that that's all great. I think what you guys are doing is great. And I'm even like sitting here going, do I go to Hardy or do I go and give this a try? Because I'm in Airdrie, and he claims
Well,
this. So
because of who
maybe,
you are, you would get we would do some crazy demo work together. Product would be great pricing and everything else. I would love to explore that. And another thing that I love where you went with that. And the other thing
Mhm.
that really sets us apart is our standard operating procedures.
Yeah,
Is the prep and the inspection done before you spray cork. Okay,
yeah,
everybody, we have a culture. Everybody involved with Vipec, the installers, like, we eat, live, bleed. We love Vipec. We love the thermal cork shield. It's a
yeah,
different niche product, and these guys want to do good. So our certification, it's 2
yeah,
to 3 days. The first day is
yeah.
like 8 to 10 hours in a classroom setting, Lisa,
Okay,
and we go through building theory, wall
okay.
envelope systems, building code, and I'm telling you, 70% of the contractors that are going to buy stuff at Home Depot today, they don't have any idea what the building code is, what wall system should be, what breathability means, what rain screen is, any of that stuff. So when somebody's coming to do the quote for a Vipec thermal cork shield system, we are looking at the walls, the rot, areas of full repair, what has to be done before we spray cork, because we don't
Hmm.
want to be stressing out and losing sleep when somebody drives off that site, because we have a
Hmm.
lot more than a tailgate warranty or a tail light warranty.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, like, if you and I decide to do something on my house, I need to get my windows checked out first, because my house has been standing for,
Good
I don't know,
stuff.
like 15 years or something like that. Who knows? But I got to double check. I think it's about 15 years my house has been standing. But regardless, I mean, for me, I'm going to be like your biggest critic or cheerleader, depending on how everything goes,
I
right? Because
know,
I'm not going to, yeah,
and that's okay.
I'm not, right? I'm like the person that reviews something, but I'm going to be honest about it. And if it's something that I'm like, hey, this is great, I am the biggest cheerleader, and that's what makes companies really successful, is when they have cheerleaders. It doesn't matter
It's
how much marketing you have; it's your cheerleaders that are like, oh my god, I have this product, it's amazing. I would never go anywhere else. Customer service is great. They walk through everything, and these are all great things. Now, I will tell you, you did say that it doesn't, the R factor doesn't get removed. So even if it gets wet, the R factor is still intact. Is that correct?
So the insulation factor, and we are
Right.
rated with a K value. So
Okay.
K, and we're an eighth of an inch. So, and then, what I've really started to compare with people, because it's people want an R value, okay?
Yeah.
But we're at about 3 mils, about an eighth of an inch. And
Mm-hmm.
we have a very substantial K value. And for those that don't
Okay.
know, to be considered a thermal insulating product, you need a K value of 0.1 or less. Okay. Lower
Okay.
is better. K
Okay.
value is actually used to determine R value. It's virtually K value and thickness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, K value at an eighth of an inch is 0.058 with our thermal cork shield, which is substantially lower than 0.1. So boom, that instantly covers us as an insulating product. Times that by the fact that or multiply that with the fact that there's suberin in it, which will allow it to continue to insulate even when wet, even if there's moisture involved. Okay. Now, to put it into terms that somebody's going to understand, what the heck is a K value? Take the best spray foam on earth, okay, yep. R7 or R8 an inch, divide that by 8, and tell me what kind of R value does it have. We're going on at an eighth of an inch, okay? So nothing at an eighth of an inch is going to have a very robust R value. But what we can achieve is a K value, which is a thermal conductivity rating. We call it a thermal break. And every insulation, system should have a thermal break right against the exposed element. So to insulate from the outside is the best way before it can penetrate your wall. And that thermal break aids in assisting the thermal barrier, which is your R30, R40 kind of thing. Yep. So it's all that science coming together. It is a proven fact. Okay. And I mean, like I said, our cork does have an R value of 4 per inch naturally right off the tree, which is,
gotta love that.
So, but it's very important for people I'm not trying to replace R value. This product is simply trying to allow it to actually perform where it should.
Well, I think that's great. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. And the fact that you picked it up and that you're from Saskatchewan, I always love listening to people because I stream everywhere. And so I love when people are not from Canada and they try to say Saskatchewan. And then we have our little term for it. Like I don't ever say Saskatchewan. I say Saskatchebush.
Saskatchebush. I think I say Saskatchatoon ever since that movie came out.
Right? Grown-ups when he's like, hey, ladies, I'm from Saskatoon.
Hey, you ladies from around these parts, I'm from Saskatchatoon. They touched on everything they possibly could have made fun of for a Canadian in that movie, but I love it.
Right? And where was the high-pitched voice? I don't know many Canadians with a high-pitched voice.
I think they were making fun of the fact that he was muscular. Hey, you ladies from around these parts. Yeah, anybody from Saskatchewan, we keep that up in our vault, and then whenever we need to make people laugh, that's what we use, man.
Oh, yeah, and then I get they're like, oh, you're from Canada, eh? Yeah. And I'm like, listen, we do say eh, or actually, a lot of us say hey, but I'm like, we don't enunciate it quite like that. It just kind of fits into our sentence where it's not really that noticeable.
Exactly. It actually just flows out enough. If I've ever explained it, what A really is, it's because we're so polite. And you ever notice we say something and we follow it by A, because what we're doing is A, like we're asking for almost approval for what we said.
Yeah.
We're just so darn polite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I say more hey than A, but I do catch myself saying it as a Canadian. But I mean, like, that's something that I always joke about. Like, perfect example is, so, it's like, did you see that guy over there, eh?
Yeah.
And it's like, because you're asking the question and you're following it up with, like you said, the politeness of, what do you think of that guy?
I fully agree. It's almost like, hey, like, did you hear that? Or like, what do you think, eh?
Like, even like people. Yeah. Yeah. It's like a prompt. We're prompting. Right?
That's exactly
But I always find it funny.
I've always thought, like, why do we say that? And it's because we actually want to get acknowledgement for what we said. Eh? Like that.
It's true, but I always love when they're like, you're from Canada, eh? And I'm like,
people, as soon as I go down south across that border, we must have a crazy accent, or maybe I do, because I really do use a lot. I used to say hey, but as soon as I'm down south, as soon as somebody hears me say one thing, man, where are you from in Canada? Everybody knows I'm Canadian. And I'm okay. I'm proud.
I think we do have a little bit of an accent, but I always joke with the Americans. I'm like, you guys have more accents, like, inside your one country than we do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, we've got French and English, so we've got 2 official languages. So that's going to, there's going to be dialect issues there.
There's Southern, there's Midwestern, there's East Northern states, there's Southern. Crazy. There's a lot of accents down there.
Oh, I know when I'm speaking to someone from New York, someone from Boston, someone from the South, like Georgia, I know when I'm speaking to someone in like where like Maine.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I know when I'm speaking to different people.
Completely different accents in all those
I
areas.
know,
So,
and we know where they're from, right? So
yep.
Boston always cracks me up. I love the Boston. We're like
So
everything
if
is
the worst
like
thing
the
we're
big like
doing
the
is
big
saying,
A's.
yeah, I do love the Boston accent, man. It's how you sound like a tough guy without really even trying.
I'm like, what happened to the R? Where did the R go?
Boston.
The ca. Don't go far. And I'm like, where did you just delete the R? Come
Yeah,
on.
that's like Delaware and like Joycey and yeah, what the heck? I love it. And but we all have our own thing, and guess what? Nobody's judging anybody because of
Nah.
it. And
Nah, I love it. Like I said, I for me when I talk to people from the States, I'm always like even the Texans, I'm like,
I love a southern accent. I really do love that southern twang. I do. I
right?
got my guy down in Texas. He's our distributor down there, Bobby. He owns a ranch. I'm telling you, 4 years ago, he had a bull almost literally like kill him if his dog wasn't there. This guy's a true rancher,
Yep.
roughneck, and I love my conversations with him, man. We get along great, that guy. But
well, like Texas and Montana are the big like ranching states.
yes.
Right? So I mean, like if you're Saskatchewan, but you're not far from Alberta and you're in Alberta, but Alberta goes down to Montana. It's like the same thing.
It's like the same thing. It's like the Rockies continue. It's tundra, and honestly, a few like ranching towns, ranching cities that are few and far between. I'm training my first guy in Montana in February, so we're gonna have a very fluent and certified installer down there, absolutely rocking.
Tell me something. Whereabouts is he from Montana? Like whereabouts in Montana are you guys gonna be? Sorry,
he's in Havre.
Okay, I was gonna say there's a place not far from the border in Montana, like the Canadian border. And they make the best fried chicken. I used to go there all the time. Like when we had like my kids and I and my ex had a place in BC. He still has it, but we used to drive in. It was 45 minutes from the border in BC, and it was right in Rexford. So we go through Eureka.
Yeah.
And then we would go down into Rexford. It was like this little like rednecky town. Like
you got to tell me where it is, because when I'm going down there, I love fried chicken. I got to try it out.
It's so good. And then they make like a homemade ranch. It's the best ranch you'll ever have. But it is. It's in Rexford. So when you're going into Eureka off the border, there's going to be a sign to go to Rexford, and it's like not far off the border. And you go straight down to Rexford, and it kind of winds around. It's like you're going.
I'm gonna make sure that I don't eat so that I can try some of this.
Oh my god! They give you like half a chicken, and you're like, "Holy shit! This is a lot of food."
Well, like you said, you can't find good ranch up in Canada. You need to go to the States to get good ranch. So
it's not wrong.
Sounds good to me, man. I can't wait to go down there now.
Beer on the back end because you're allowed 1 case of beer.
Man, I'll bring a log of chew for my friends that chew whenever I go down to the States. There's certain things you got to buy when you're down there.
Yeah, just make sure you're more than 48 hours for that log of chew, because let me tell you, mind you, the Canadians are pretty easygoing. We're like, they just ask you. Sometimes they make you go pay duty. Sometimes they don't. They're just like,
if you're honest with them, you're usually okay.
They're usually pretty good. I mean, like now they're gonna like crack down the border because they're like, the podcaster said we let too much shit in the book, and it's like, but most Canadians are honest. Not all of us are, but most Canadians are like, listen, I went down to the red tags or the black dot sale. I bought a shit ton of stuff for my kids in Kalispell, and then I came up and I got a carton of smokes and I got like 2 cases of beer, and they're like, okay,
yeah, you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah, you're not hurting anybody. You're not hurting anybody, and you're not hurting our economy. You can't get, like, what kind of cigarettes are you buying? Like, are you buying Canadian cigarettes in the States? It's like, no.
No, unfortunately not. And if I was, I'd be paying 3 times the amount, man. It's crazy. You can't even question me going down there for it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I agree with you 100%. But so we are top of the hour. So I'm gonna wrap us up. Adam, you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming
on. Lisa, I had a blast.
Thank you. And, I love talking about new products that are on the market, or products that haven't been around for more than 20 years. Like they're still pretty new.
They're not babies. I describe this product as a baby every day because we're competing against products that have been out for 200 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't call you guys in your infant stage by any stretch. You guys are well past that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're putting out a product that you really stand behind. I can see the passion in your eyes and hear the passion in your voice. You've got your significant other wrapped up in this as well, where she's, like kind of, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of a nice thing to have your significant other, because you know what, you can trust her. She's not going to do anything to hurt anything, because she believes in it too, regardless of how things go on. Because everyone's always like, don't shit where you eat. But I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you need that person that's going to understand you.
Exactly. Some people would think it's crazy to do it. But here's the thing. If I could think of the best employee I could ever have, it would be a clone of myself. Somebody with the same mindset, the same path, the same direction. Well, there's only one thing better than that, and it's actually real. I can't clone myself. But my partner, who's also growing her life, is forming a career out of this. This is, her fourth year, more than full time. She's actually now working for the head office as well every week for Vipeg Canada.
Good for her.
And I couldn't have anybody else in that seat that I could trust, that would be more determined, that's in it to win it. It's do or die.
Well, we're going to have to get her on the podcast, because I love supporting women in trades too.
I would love that. And I would like to introduce you guys. I know you've already met her. So I've
met her. Yeah. She's a sweetheart.
You let us know when we have another opportunity, and she will be in this chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys all you got to do is you have my link. So all she got to do is click in and click the link to book herself in whenever she wants. I mean, she's got 200 and some days to pick from. So she can pick
Lisa. I will honestly talk to her about
she wants, and come on and have a conversation, because that's also building her career. And some people will say, because there's two different types of women in trades. There's women who are, all about, because I mean, people are people, right? So it doesn't matter what your gender is, but there are women who are in it to win it, and they want to do right by by the product, by themselves, and continue to succeed and grow, regardless of whether how they started, if they're still with that person or not. They're not going to hurt anybody, because they want to continue to see it flourish. And people can work side by side without the trivial drama and bullshit. But then there's people that can go through it together. And I love having that sounding board, because myself and my significant, we had worked together at one point, and my ex and I had worked together at one point. And so sometimes it's nice to come home and be able to have those conversations and get that kind of frustration out.
And actually really get it on the same page, understanding those frustrations, like you said.
Exactly. And just, having that sounding board, and then, be able to kind of wipe it away. Not everyone can, but then just wipe it away and continue on just doing what you're doing, because you've had that conversation, and you don't have to over explain yourself to someone who doesn't understand.
Exactly.
So just oh, sorry, you had a bad day. And you're like,
well, and you know what, when we started this conversation as, what is being an entrepreneur and taking breaks and being able to maybe even separate blocking time. But, that's just, I'm never going to be able to, I never stop working anyway. So how could you work with your significant other? And do you guys ever get to turn the work off? It's I'm not going to anyways. So it's actually nice that if I want to vent about something at 9 at night, we're actually both venting about it. And we've both drank the Vipeg Kool-Aid, and we're both on the same page. And actually, if it wasn't that case, maybe my partner would be sick of hearing about Vipeg.
Yeah. I think what we need to say is, it's not that we don't take breaks, it's that our breaks look different.
That's it.
That's really what it is.
I am very selfish. I take care of myself. I do. But I'm still very productive.
Yeah, that's my point. Our breaks look different, right? Yeah. I can be sitting on the couch watching Netflix, and my phone could be upstairs, but if it dings or rings a certain way, I'm on my way up and I'm looking at it and I'm responding within a time.
And you can respond in 2 minutes. You can send an email back and actually be extremely productive and set something up for the next week that's going to make you some money. That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's it, right? So it's people who are like, nope, shut down, nothing. I'm like, I would love to do that. That's not how my brain works, and it's not how business works for someone who's running their own firm, right?
That's right.
It is what it is. But anyways, thank you so much for being on the show with me. I appreciate it. So for everybody that's listening, thanks so much for tuning in to us today. I hope that some of you will check out Vipeg. And for those of you that are listening and can't see us, Vipeg is spelled Vipeq. Adam Schaefer is one of the owners of the company, and he is amazing. So
thank you, Lisa.
Check out no worries. Check out the product. If you guys have any further questions, you can email me directly at lisa@lpmenterprises.net, and we will definitely check with you. Or you guys can email Adam. What's your email, Adam?
Adam@vipec.ca.
Perfect. So if you guys have any further questions about it, then you guys can check it out and give him a quick email and figure out all that.
I'd love to talk to anybody if they're looking for more info.
Yeah, and Adam and his partner, great. What's your significant's name?
Taylor.
So Taylor's the other side of that. So if you'd rather speak to Taylor, then I'm sure it's the same thing, right? It's Taylor
Office,
Vipeg.
office at vipec.ca. She runs the office.
She runs the whole thing.
Yeah, pretty
Perfect.
much.
Okay, well, we'll catch you guys next week. Have a great day and a great
Thanks for
week.
tuning in. Thank you, Lisa.
No worries, and make safe choices.